Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Modesto, tacos, tequila, whiskey, right here next to Walk-On's Burbank at Nicholson. Oh, man, look, about 5 long, buzzy Highdale throws from Alec Box Stadium. We hadn't done that in years. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro here. Jordan Kinchin's back in the studio. Randy McKay with us today. Scott Rabelais with us today. Wes Reynolds with us today. The golfers are in Canada. And, of course, we'll be doing a lot of, baseball stuff as we're just a couple of days away from the Super Regionals. Jimmy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. Spent yesterday afternoon after, everything that had happened over the Super Regional weekend, looking back on what had happened and kind of ahead to LSU in West Virginia. First game on Saturday at 1 o'clock. And a couple of things I wanted to talk about in the open. One of them being third pitchers, and another one of them an offensive thing that Jay Johnson's kind of wrestling with right now. So I listened to Hunt's show yesterday, and he had Glenn West on, and he asked a question that I had to think about a little bit. And he said, what would happen if on Saturday LSU gets to the 8th inning and Cade Anderson is done. He's thrown 115 pitches or whatever, and LSU's holding a 1 or 2-1 lead. Why? What would you do at that point if you're Jay Johnson? So they went through the options, and there's a number of them. The one that interested me the most was Kason Evans. Kason Evans is coming off of the most dominant, postseason debut that you could possibly have with 9 straight strikeouts. So he would be the first name you would think of. On the other hand, he threw 109 pitches, which is a career high.
What day we're talking
on
about
Monday.
here again?
This is Saturday,
Okay.
So this would be 4 full days of rest. That's one reason I wouldn't go to Evans on Saturday. The second reason is that you can go Cade Anderson on the first day on full rest, and you can go Anthony Ianson on the second day on pretty close to full rest. So you count the 20 pitches on Monday as kind of a bullpen, pretty close to full rest. Kason Evans has never thrown this many pitches and has to come back on short rest. So I would be a little bit nervous about that. The second thing is talking to Doug Thompson on the podcast yesterday, which you can get on YouTube. It's up there right now at Handycast. He said he thought that Zach Cowan showed a little rust, particularly with the changeup, which is his best pitch. And the more that he pitches, the better off. He may think of it like second race back, if you will, because, Cowan had gone 2 weeks without pitching, as had Evans. Evans was the sharper of the two. But the other reason is West Virginia is in a little bit of a precarious position where their third starter. This is a good time to remind everybody that the number of years that LSU's gone through with the same third starter the whole way through is pretty rare. And for a lot of teams, the third starter is a moving piece. It has been for West Virginia. Gavin Van Kempen, who has been a starter for them most of the season, last pitched on May the 16th. He came out of that game after just one batter with an injury. He did not pitch in the conference tournament. He did not pitch in the regional. And whether he comes back or not, it's going to be a precarious situation for West Virginia should this get to a Game 3. I expect them to hold Griffin Kern, their ace, for the second game because he pitched on Friday, 7 1/3 innings, and he pitched again on Sunday, another inning. So I would think that they would hold him for Game 2 to give him the extra day and start Jack Carstonas, who is their second starter in Game 1 of this thing. Again, the order doesn't really matter in the Super Regionals for 1 and 2. That means that if you get to a Game 3, West Virginia would have to do one of two things. They would have to go back to Van Kempen, assuming he's healthy, and I have no idea if he is. pitching for the first time in 24 days, or you do what they did in the third game of the regional, which is to chop it up. They chopped it up, and they won the game. Gave up 11 runs doing it. If I can hold Case and Evans for that game 3, and I'm going to get that matchup against either a guy off of a long layup or a bullpen day for West Virginia, I'm going to have a big, big edge in game 3. I understand if you get to Sunday, you've got a chance to lock this thing down, and he needs 4 to 6 outs. I would be really tempted to go to Case and Evans, but not on Saturday, and probably not on Sunday because I got the edge. And if West Virginia comes in here and beats Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson on the first 2 days of the regional, then God bless, okay? Nobody's done that in Ally Box Stadium all year. They've only lost those 2 games at Auburn consecutively.
And that's fine, but, that could be your one game that is in the balance. You could have, a West Virginia dominated game, an LSU dominated game, and here you said LSU in the late innings, a one-run lead. This might be, that time. Now, is an Evans on short rest going to be as good? Is it going to be a bounce? Everything from horse racing to golfing. I mean, guy shoots a 60. Well, He's not going to duplicate it. That horse runs that crazy buyer figure. Well, It's a bounce factor. There's even a term about it. Does he bounce here? Or, man, there's no comparison who was more effective on Monday night. But, the Cowan comes in more lightly raced as well. So if that could be the game where that could be where the super regional is decided, Charlie. So that you have to play out that scenario as well.
And
ideally, yes, you'd like to hold him, to game 3 if necessary.
And there is a feel factor to this. I wouldn't run him on Saturday. I would run Cowan out there even with a 1 or 2 run lead. If he gave up a base runner, you might go to Shores. You can go to Newt. You can go to Cooper Williams. That's all about feel. I'm saying that if I got a chance to hold Evans to Monday, it's going to give LSU a big, big advantage as long as you don't lose the first 2. And if you lose the first 2, well, God bless. So the Van Kempen injury has compromised West Virginia a little bit as far as their third starter. A lot of teams have that problem, including LSU. The second thing is I've been asked this, and I've heard a lot about this about Michael Braswell at third base, and should they take a look at Tanner Reeves, because he is, and I hear this all the time, Reeves is the better bat. Well, the numbers don't bear that out, at least not recently, and I think that Jay Johnson is searching for some offense from over on the hot corner. Braswell's slumping. He's 1 for his last 23. There ain't no way to sugarcoat that. What's particularly bothering about the 1 for 23 is there's no walks in there. I would have liked to have seen, a handful of walks in there. If you're scuffling at the plate, at least try and draw some walks. He's been on base 1 time in his last 24 plate appearances. He got hit by a pitch and 1 hit. There's only 3 strikeouts to his credit in there, but there's no walks. He's not getting on base. Thing is, Reeves isn't either. He's 1 for his last 21. Now, he's got 4 walks in that span, but he's got 8 strikeouts. That goes back all the way to April 1st. Their SEC numbers, almost identical. Braswell's hitting 236. Reeves is hitting 238. Braswell's got him about 3-1 on plate appearances in SEC play. My point is, neither one of these guys are scorching the ball right now. Reeves did hit 2 balls hard that were tracked down in center field by Willie Mays over there. It looked like it was playing for Little Rock. God bless him. He could play center field. But I think 2 things. Number 1, Jay Johnson will go with the better glove, which is Braswell to start, and he will give Reeves some opportunities. Next guy to gets a hit, gets to stay in the lineup because right now they've gotten to this point with very little offensive production out of that spot all year, really. So you got to this point, hey, I was hoping that Braswell would get hot. If Reeves gets hot, that's all the same. So the perception is that put Reeves in, he's a better bat. You're looking at all of the numbers. A lot of those numbers came from the pre-conference. Those numbers are pretty much dead to me now. Reeves has got 5 hits in SEC play. Braswell's not hitting either. I get it. But there's not a lot of difference. It's not like you got this scorching bat on the bench that's willing to come in. So, like I said,
all right, that's
he's going to give him some shots.
That's the numbers. We know that. What you talk about your eyeballs, who's grinding now? Who's giving you more of a quality at bat?
Neither one of them.
Okay.
Honestly.
Okay,
neither one. There's not a lot of walks in here. There's a couple more.
One kid at least walked 4 times.
In 2 months.
Oh.
I mean,
well, compared to 1 or 0?
0. Yeah.
Okay,
It's a couple more.
It's not, 4 more.
It's not enough.
Zero's bad.
Zero's bad.
Zero's bad. You got to grind, man. You got to know when you're not feeling. Look, man. Not every perimeter shooter shows up at the gym hot.
Right.
Okay, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Get your shots up.
We're going to try and get to the line, get to the goal.
Yeah.
All right, Charles. I'm going to try and get on base.
Right. He's also
Right?
got twice as many strikeouts, and the glove to me balances out. Look, they're both going to get a chance. I would be shocked. Johnson's been trying it the last 2 games of the regional. He played both of these kids. It's like, get a hit. You get a hit, you get to stay in. You make a shot, you get the ball again. So
yeah.
I just wanted to point out that there's not this glaring gulf between the 2 guys. There really isn't. So next one you get a hit, you get to play. As far as I would think. Mm-hmm. So those 2 things. The third starter, West Virginia's in a little bit of a compromised situation, and the third base offense.
So you say West Virginia had an easier path. They played one less game. They took care of business and did lose. They won all 3 games in their last at bat. All 3 games.
Yeah, that's right.
And so the first game they had a walk-off. The second game against Clemson, they were tied going into. They were the visiting team going to the top of the ninth. They scored 4. Clemson won in the bottom, so that was their last at bat. And then bottom of the 8th, they're down 5 runs. They score 6, and that was their last at bat. They held them scoreless in the top of the 9th, so they walked. That was their last at bat as well. So it was, but they did win a regional last year in Arizona, Tucson, for their first super regional appearance. So they do have a chunk of that roster back this year that went on the road and won at Clemson. And we didn't pull the trigger on that one, but we certainly discussed it. How Clemson was not. They were not.
You know why?
One, they're not a really impressive roster, and they weren't playing great.
No, they weren't. There were a lot of people that didn't think Clemson was getting out of that regional. I'll tell you why I didn't pick the regional. I couldn't make up my mind between West Virginia and Kentucky because I thought they were pretty equal, and they played 2 one-run games. So I just couldn't figure out which of the other ones to pick. So that was why I kind of laid off of it. But I thought Clemson was vulnerable for sure.
And I thought Kentucky's biggest concern going in would be their lineup, and their lineup produced.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, it was their pitching that got to them.
They did. So, a few thoughts.
Can we get a warning? Can we pass the hat? I mean, we've got the Cajun Cafe out there. Can they get a warning track in Clemson?
Great point. There was a play at the wall where it absolutely could have had an impact.
It happens every year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the only. Tell me another field that doesn't have a warning track. I'm talking from, down the street.
You and I both call games in the 90s in the SWAC where the budgets were, shall we say, compromised, and they had warning tracks.
Everybody has a warning track. Every high school.
I would almost think that would come up at the league meetings, and the rest of the coaches would get together and say, "This is a safety issue. You gotta put a warning track in."
That's what they call it, huh?
Yeah, you guys got enough money to put a warning track in.
That the campus is too nice.
Yeah.
For them, just like. There's a warning track. I mean, come on.
I mean, they paint a Clemson little paw, a logo on the wall.
A lot of paws on campus, Max.
They paint them near the wall. Why is there not a warning track there? It's puzzling to me. Same question.
There's a lot more budget in these baseball programs than there was 30 years ago.
Enron, then Minute Maid, the new park at the Astros. Okay, I forget.
Dakin.
It's Dakin now?
Dakin Park.
Okay,
yes.
Air conditions. There you go. Total maintenance. All right, so they wanted a unique dimension to their field, right?
Right.
Remember?
The hill
with the flagpole in play.
which I thought was ridiculous.
And they got rid of it.
They did.
Okay.
It should have never been put out there.
This is not like
I enjoyed it. Come on.
No. You can't
Until
have
your
a
center
flag.
fielder goes out there and turns a knee.
It was like 440 out there.
It was
there.
dumb. It was, but there was a center fielder who went out there. It's just not in play. I mean, like fairway bunkers. You a big fan? I'm going to hit the ball in the middle of the fairway, and I'm going to be in a bunker.
I don't mind a center line
Yeah,
bunker.
okay,
No.
okay.
I'm quirky.
Okay.
I like golf. I like something that's different.
Fairway bunkers are different.
Pat
but-
McAfee's different,
Who hit the
Say I like
longest?
no, y'all love him.
Maybe he'll come to town this week.
Who
West
hit the
Virginia's
longest
here.
ball
He's
to
not
straightaway
going
center
anywhere.
field at the old Enron Minute Maid? My friends in Houston swear that this is the longest ball that was hit since they opened the stadium. Went right through. There were multiple flagpoles. There was one in play, and there were two out behind.
I'm not concerned about what's not in play. The
Okay.
flagpole in play is my
Well,
concern.
this guy
Yes.
this guy split the two flagpoles to straightaway center field about 460 feet.
He was on the Astros?
He was not.
Now would be like a Judge, but he wasn't around then.
No, Vlad Guerrero. They said Vlad Guerrero hit one about 450, 460 feet to straightaway center field.
I've got some Vlad Guerrero Senior. I got some in Wrigley. Him long tossing from the warning track out in front of the Wrigley Field.
To the parking lot?
No, to the dugout.
Yeah.
Long tossing, just kind of, and then he hit a triple in Wrigley. That was just, it was beautiful to watch. Before he just became a slugger, whatever, my man could roll.
Yes.
And I mean, he was, but I did see, and this was kind of the steroid era, was at BP, so this when you BP, you just kind of lean on the fence, you get your recorder, and you go get a manager or a player or a media member and just get some sound, before. And we're just watching guys. Glenn Allen Hills with the Cubs, and let's just say he was bulked up and had more acne than maybe a 16-year-old. I mean, it was just not a good look.
A 16-year-old with a box of chocolate.
Yeah. He hit one over the center field wall, and then he just kind of a roid rage. It was like, okay, this is the poster child for the steroids. I mean, it was in that era the whole bit. So, anyway.
We're here at Modesto.
Hey, Modesto has been a hot spot all season long for the baseball games, and the great thing about Modesto and their game day specials, it's available. Super Regional is we got it over here. $3 fireball shots, it's $3 tequila drop shots, $3 domestic bottles, $4 import bottles, $4 hard seltzers, 32-ounce margaritas are $21, frozen tiger 75s or $15, and then we've got some appetizers for game day specials as well. The birria fries, the brisket fries that are $11, game day nachos are $11, and Mexican popcorn is $5. So our game day specials over here this weekend for the Super Regional. So a hop, skip, and a jump on your way to the box.
Live at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we return here at Modesto. Today's show is also brought to you by Total Maintenance AC and Heating, Generators, Electricity, Plumbing, oldest and largest AC and heating company in South Louisiana, one of them since 1980. Service today, every day, so nobody ever has to go to sleep hot. Full service staff in both New Orleans and Baton Rouge. Carrier, American Standard, Daykin, and Ream AC units, Generac and Cummings generators for all your electrical and plumbing needs as well in Baton Rouge, 480-1000 in New Orleans, 841-3300. Service today, every day at Total Maintenance. Jimmy, we had this conversation on Monday about the number of pitchers that came back from short rest to go on Monday, and in some cases they came back on Sunday. Some of these teams that are going to have to deal with this include West Virginia and their starter, Griffin Kern, who threw 7 1/3. We don't, for some reason, the box scores didn't include pitch counts, but he threw 7 1/3 innings on Friday night, and of course they won that game. He was the 8th of 8 pitchers on Sunday. And like you pointed out during the break, they had a game to play with. I don't know how much pitching they had left. They threw 8 guys. Nobody threw more than 2 2/3 innings. Most of the guys threw an inning, and Kern threw the last one. So he faced 4 batters. So let's say 12 to 15 pitches.
So
after
2 of their
throwing.
3 wins. He got a win and a save.
Yeah. And we're talking about some big names here. Liam Doyle came back on short rest. Anthony Ianson came back on short rest.
State.
Kid from Murray State came back on short rest. Some ones that came back to
Tennessee, Wake Forest lost, but
they brought their one guy.
I don't think Oregon State did on Monday.
No, they won 9-0. They shouldn't have had to. Somewhere Keith Law's head's exploding, I'm sure.
Well, it's BP for him. I mean, come on, man. I mean, this is when you do this type of stuff. This is what they're talking about.
Yep.
And I mean, that's minor league baseball. They're not doing that. Period.
No, they're not. They're not.
So where the college game has made so much progress and so much. Whether look, we can complain about or debate it, whatever, but so much more respect out of the major league teams. They are recruiting college players more. There's more money in the college game. They feel it's better. The coaching has improved.
Yeah.
But this is something that's still hanging around.
Major league teams will do the same thing if their playoffs are on the line. They'll bring a starter back on short rest. The difference is those are more mature arms. Those are kids. Those are men in their 20s and 30s, and these are in most cases 18 to 20-year-old developing arms. That's the case against. But and you're right. Nobody in the minor leagues hardly ever does this. But in the major leagues, you see the starters go down to the bullpen. It's kind of exciting, actually. You see Randy Johnson going down in the World Series to the bullpen to try to close it out.
The last game of the season.
Last game of the season. And they'll do it if their playoffs are on the line. They'll do it in the playoffs too.
You saw Charlie Morton close out the game. I think in Game 7 for the Astros against the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. He was a starter,
right?
And he came in relief. We've seen it. We've seen. I think it was Scherzer that maybe finished out. The Nationals win over the Astros. Mm-hmm. But that's the last game. We saw Bumgarner do it against Detroit.
You've seen it in the playoffs too, though. The divisional rounds. If your season is on the line,
rarely.
Not often. Not often.
No. It's the last game.
If your season is on the line, in that game, you'll see it, but not. Other than that,
I've just named you World Series last games. Name me an earlier round.
I'd have to go back and look. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I've seen that before where they brought starters in.
It's not.
It's not common.
It's not like
you
had half the pitchers doing it that were playing on Monday, and that's what we have confirmed.
And
3 of the games, all 6 participating teams brought back a guy that threw over 100 pitches in a start earlier in the regional.
Yeah, they did.
Kern for West Virginia pitched 118 in the opener against Kentucky on Friday. He pitched 16 in the closing game on Sunday.
131 pitches over 3 days.
134.
What'd you say?
118 and 16.
134. I'm sorry,
48 hours.
134. Yeah,
48 hours. That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And Doyle threw 100. I think it was 135 over his 2 starts, over his 2 appearances for Tennessee. So these guys bounce back. Ianson threw 118. He threw 98 and 20. Pretty sure I got my numbers right there. Now that was going from Friday to Monday. That was 2 days and not 1 day, but it's still short rest. It is a bullpen day. There's a difference between bullpen pitches and game pitches.
And he was warming up in the bullpen for a while. Couple innings.
And those guys are going to throw in between starts.
Sure.
But there's a difference in intensity between game pitches and bullpen pitches. I don't think there's any question about that. So that's why I expect Kern will not throw game 1 for West Virginia.
I give him
either an extra day.
And your boy from Tennessee. There's no reason that you only get 1 start.
Right.
Okay, and so it doesn't matter if he starts game 1 or game 2.
That's
right. They're getting their start, and that's it. It's not nearly the strategy of rotation that you have in the regional realm.
No, it's 3 games max, but it does mean that you're probably going to see, instead of Zach Root against Liam Doyle in game 1 in Arkansas, Tennessee, you're going to see Marcus Phillips against Zach Root in game 1.
Hunter Elliott pitched Monday night.
Hunter Elliott was,
had
they won, they would have almost certainly held him for game 2 of their super regional. They came up a little bit short. Yeah, it's an adjustment that you have to make at this point in the season, and more than one coach has got to do it.
You fine with it? We hate when Keith Law starts his stuff, huh?
Yeah.
But man, how How do you argue with him?
I think
with this type of stuff.
I think coming back on one day, if the season's not at the very end, is tough. To come on Friday to Sunday. Now, they used to do this all the time. This was a staple of LSU baseball in the 80s and the 90s. You pitched on Friday and Sunday. They don't do that anymore. I would be pretty hesitant to bring
pitch
a guy
on
back.
Friday and Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
No, Friday and Monday.
No, Friday
on
and
the
Sunday.
The 6-game
in regular season games happened all the time.
The regular season?
Yes, sir.
A conference series?
Yes.
You would have the same starter on Friday and Sunday?
Not starter. He'd come in relief on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, it happened a lot. They don't do that anymore.
I mean, the biggest is McDonald in College Station. He got the winning game. Game one, it was the same day that he got the save.
Yeah. No, it happened a lot in the 90s. It doesn't happen anymore. 1 day and 2 days is different, okay? One day, man, it makes a difference. It's a tough call.
You thought Ianson was this sharp?
I did.
You did?
I did, yeah. He gave up the roller that got the run home, but no, I thought he was sharp. I worry more about the second time back.
He got the call? He got the call, the 3-2 pitch?
Yes, he did.
If he doesn't get the call, how you feel?
Well, it's going to be a tight spot. I don't know what the next batter would have done.
Things may change, but the next guy hit the high chopper. Everybody's advancing on that.
Yes.
That's a 5-3 put out,
yeah.
And everybody advances. Tie game in a go-ahead run during second and third.
I thought he was throwing strikes, and I didn't think they hit the ball hard against him. Overly hard. I didn't see.
Did he inherit the runners?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't think
he was not getting. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think he got hit hard. It's the time after that. You can run on adrenaline for 20 to 30 pitches. It's the time after that. How does the arm feel? That'll be something that all of these teams that brought a guy back have to deal with. So we'll see.
It will be interesting, no doubt about it. Don't forget our friends over at United Community Bank, the local way to bank big, with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow, including their newest branch down the street at Burbank and Bluebonnet. We're here at Modesto on Burbank. We've been serving the people of Southern Louisiana for over 50 years. Our great team of bankers, Heath Muir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, David Henry, Prentice Wilkes. At United Community Bank, again, your business is our business. We support the hard-working folks behind local business. Contact us today. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Live at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
They let the big dog out.
Out of nowhere.
It's time for the big dog, Randy McKay, with his best picks.
Out of nowhere. Where is my man? I know he's traveling today. Big dog, what parts are you at right now, my man?
You guys are going to like this. I'm at a Walmart parking lot in Devil's Lake, North Dakota. And what's significant about Devil's Lake, North Dakota? Well,
the New Jersey Devils owner is from that area, huh? No,
future NBA star maybe. Grant Nelson from Alabama, or before that NDSU. This is his hometown, so I'm here on a little trip. Going to go up north, check out a couple casinos, and check out the casino here as well.
Nate Oates, Charlie, this was part of the schedule. Like, why are they playing in North Dakota State? Well, you promised him.
Yeah, you promised to recruit. You're going to go play in his hometown. That happens a lot,
The kid that was the top 5 pick. Is it
Stromal Swift? Here?
No, from Alabama. Was it Marshall? What was his name? You got
Brandon Miller. Yeah.
Miller was from Macon. From Macon. They went and played at Macon, Georgia. Not as far
right.
But I mean, do what it takes. It's one game. Yeah. If that's going to be the
when
knockout blow.
Came here, I remember
they went and played in Shreveport.
They played a game at in Shreveport.
Stro was at their reunion. There was
Roy Williams did that as well. With there was a North Dakota player that Kansas had, Boshi, and he made sure that they played UND 1 year as well.
Did Dale play a game at in Gulfport? Or Biloxi with her CJ?
No. Of course, they play conference games out there. He didn't play a game
conference games
in Ole Miss and Mississippi State in the state of Mississippi.
Right.
No, he never played
but
one.
I'm talking about golf.
No,
Okay.
not that I remember. And I don't think he played one. I was trying to think about John Williams, but
in L.A. no.
Yeah, again, no. When they played UCLA
in the Dome.
Yeah, and he played one for John Williams.
Yeah, but Ice Reynolds, they played in New Jersey.
In the that was against North Carolina.
Yeah, in the Meadowlands.
Yeah,
I
remember that game.
Yeah, so Big Dog, you were watching the LSU Arkansas Little Rock. They're Little Rock now. So, but anyway, you talk about David and Goliath, man. It was Maryland Eastern Shore, Maryland Baltimore County. Let me get that straight. Who beat Virginia to 116? I mean, it was David and Goliath, no doubt. And Little Rock came to play. You were checking it out on the tube.
Yeah, so I got in on the game. I heard about it. It was like 5.5. I took a little bet on Little Rock getting the 5.5 runs. I figured there might be some nervy times there, and of course I tuned in when it was 5-1, and you could just feel the pressure of the crowd there every time they got the bases loaded. It failed, and the announcer, your guys' announcers, I think, was doing the ESPN games, and they were like, "Yeah, we can't score when we get the bases loaded for some reason in this thing." I guess that's a variance of college baseball, but you could just see the dam was going to break eventually, and they were going to break through. But I've watched games before at LSU. You guys got quite an atmosphere there for baseball, and everything was. It was a real entertaining night, and when not much was going on for sure, and that was very entertaining. I'm sure the super regionals are going to be just the same with all these underdogs.
Have you met Jensen Lewis, the former Vandy and Indians pitcher who's now co-hosting with Super Dave in the mornings on VEASAN? Have you met him yet, Randy?
I have not met him. I've heard of him and heard some of his analysis as well. And he's very entertaining and keeps up with a lot of this college baseball. That's for sure.
So they're leaning on Jensen for some of the, because this is just it's. All right, or they got this college baseball now. Who can talk about it? They're trying to find it. So he's been making his rounds, doing a lot of them. And he talked about, they talked about the atmosphere of Baton Rouge and this and that. And, he talked about Baum Stadium, too. And he talked about, of course, when Tennessee goes in there, expect some shenanigans, expect for Baum. It's going to be a sideshow, in Fayetteville. But what he said about Baton Rouge, and he says, man, I've bitched down there. And the fans are so hospitable. I mean, you kind of got to fight through being a little bloated from all the food and the tailgating that they'll feed you. But once you get inside that stadium, they want to rip your throat out. And so, that's it. I can't ask for anything more. They're fan. You have enough of them. You got good ones and bad ones, okay? But that's kind of important, to have that reputation. I mean, and listen, there have been some fans that have come through on a Saturday in the fall, from tailgate at Tiger Stadium and had the time of their lives, and others had a nightmare experience. But that to me, that's as strong of a man. They're going to be as hospitable as it can. But once we playing you, bro, gloves are off at that point.
And Chris Curry, the Little Rock coach, had nothing but great things to say about how they ran the regional and how well they were treated and all that. And we consider what happened, with Florida at Coastal Carolina, with Tennessee and Wake Forest. It ain't a given that it happens that way.
Yeah. Hey, Randy, I did want to get your 2 cents. And Randy, do we feed you when you come down there? Huh? Do you get fed?
Oh, yeah. Definitely got fed real well. Mike Anderson's didn't disappoint at all.
Hey, so, man, I got to talk a little NFL because this Ragnow thing is, it's starting to pile up a little bit. Or is it? With the Detroit Lions. Did they not have the best regular season last year? I think so. 15-2. And, they earned a number 1 seed. They had the best season, and that was with a pretty damn impactful loss with Hutchinson, with an injury. I know injury's a part of it, but that's a big one. And so they have it, but you lose both coordinators. All right, but Campbell's still there. You still got a lot of the pieces. But the strength of that team, and I told Charlie this about 10th, 11th games at Lubbock. The MVP, if you can give it to a unit, and I know this doesn't happen, okay, that's an offensive line for Detroit. Everything they do is based on that offensive line. But not only Ragnow, you lost another one before that. So that's two multiple offensive linemen. You also throw in this schedule is ramped up. Now, we don't know how a schedule is going to play out completely because it's a year-to-year league, but it sure looks like it's going to be much tougher than it's been the last couple of years when they've made this run. Are things piling up where you're like, man, the Lions kind of pump the brakes if you're thinking a win total over or just winning it all?
Yeah, win total over might be a tough thing here with these offensive lines, like you mentioned. They said they can put this Glasgow in for Ragnow. That's going to be a tough replacement there, and it's too bad NFL. Guy's got to retire at 29. Unfortunately, he got too banged up. I guess he didn't feel like he could continue, and playing in the trenches that can happen. But a lot of things as far as the schedule goes here for Detroit. It's a little bit misleading. They get their tougher games on the road, but they get the rest advantage in a lot of these. So it's kind of a mix and match here as far as that goes. With their schedule does look hard, but if you look at the teams they're playing on the road, they have tough games in the week before, and they get the advantage going into those games. Where sometimes even last year they didn't. We saw where they played, and they end up beating the Vikings there in that crucial game, but they didn't have the advantage in that game, and unfortunately it led to a bad bet by me, but as far as that goes, but they didn't have a lot of the rest advantage that they're going to have this year going into some of them tougher games, even though they're on the road.
Did you guys think that Detroit got blindsided by this? I mean, we're talking about a June retirement from a 29-year-old Pro Bowl player. They don't have time to address this in the draft. Free agency is basically done. I mean, do you think this caught them off guard?
Did you see any signs of this?
Yeah, I didn't see any signs. You would think, being a loyal guy, maybe he was telling Campbell and crew that he was maybe leaning that way. So, hopefully, as far as their draft goes, I'm not sure they addressed it in any way. Maybe offensive linemen, there is some ways you can pick up some of these, older players that maybe you can put in there and help out. So, but then they got to get used to the line coach and used to, what Campbell likes to do. So, that can always be an issue. But there is some replacements out there on the offensive line as far as, it's not like putting in a new quarterback or something like that.
They did take Tate Ratledge from Georgia is the one offensive lineman they took in the draft. But he was a guard mostly there.
They, we were sitting at Beau Rivage one Sunday, and they got a lot of junkets that come through to Detroit. So I guess there's a big MGM property in the Detroit area, but there are all these Lions fans, and I was kind of. Sometimes, man, like the Cleveland fans were they were a little much. This particular group, but I'm listening to the Detroit, and they can be a little kind of rambunctious as well. But I'm hearing them say, "Man, I'm surprised. I'm just happy we got him one more year. I was surprised we were able to keep him one more year." Talking about Johnson, the offensive coordinator. Yeah. So there was no surprise that he got a job. He was hot. So we will love to see. One thing about it, I still think they'll run those trick plays. I think that the head man will still be running the gadget plays.
And not to just soak up the whole thing on the Lions, but I did see one interesting trade proposal today that if Cincinnati cannot come to a deal with Trey Hendrickson, and that's a pretty big impasse, a second and a third round pick from Cincinnati to Detroit to put Hendrickson on the other side of Hutchinson. If I'm Detroit, I do that trade in half a heartbeat. Now, they would have to extend him. That's the other part of the deal. Why would you get him for less than a first-round pick? Well, he's 31 years old, and he's going to require a $90 million contract, almost all of it guaranteed. But that guy can play, and you put him on the other side of Hutchinson. Who you going to double? I'd make that trade if I'm Detroit.
I thought some of his success was due to the really good players like Cam Jordan that were next to him with the Saints. I was wrong. Cincinnati needs any defensive players that they can get. There's no doubt about that. So Devil's Lake, is that right, Randy? Is that where you are?
Yeah, Devil's Lake. Of course, the Native Americans call it Spirit Lake, so that's the name of the casino here. So, Devil's Lake, North Dakota. It's a kind of a sleeper place in the upper Midwest here that you can get some really good walleye fishing in.
Abundant fishing, especially for perch, the largest natural body of water in North Dakota, okay, from the Devil's Lake Tourism Department. Huh?
I didn't think you had that on the top of your head.
Perch you catch in the winter.
Only in the winter?
Well, you can catch them in the summer, but most people, catch them in the winter. That's a big ice fishing fish to go for is perch.
Maybe we can go hiking or the casino in the summer. Winter fishing in North Dakota, big dog, I'm out. I'm sorry. I'm out.
No ice fishing for Jivion.
No, bro. No, not even close. We appreciate it, my man. You enjoy your time up there. Always a pleasure.
All right, thanks, guys, and good luck, everybody out there.
Yes, indeed. Randy's a great one, man. And people love. They got a lot of feedback on just his talking about the different sports handicappers and when he's the kind of the egos and the testosterone. It got really thought it was interesting. We take that for granted some of the times with Randy. Don't forget our friends over at Workbox Services, my buddy Martin Padial and the great staff at Workbox. They've been doing it for quite some time. With movable storage needs, commercial or residential, man, our home boxes are ideal for the to do it at your own pace, to not be rushed when you, rent a moving truck or things like that. So you put it, you store it at your own pace, and then when you move it to your new location, you unload it at your own pace. Our shipping containers come in all sizes, anywhere from 8 by 8 feet to 8 by 40 feet for the smallest jobs to the really big ones. And we can customize those for any type of use or desire. So check out our stuff at workboxllc.com. 343-4886 Workbox.
Live at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Forgive me for being redundant because I think we've done this story before, but maybe it bears repeating. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Paul Skeens throws 8 innings. He gives up 3 hits. He gives up 1 walk. That's a base runner every other inning. 1 run, 8 strikeouts, and took the loss. Again. 4-6 now with an ERA of an eyelash over 2.
How many strikeouts last night?
8.
Yeah, and 2 strikeouts have gotten back close to normal, although he was much higher than a strikeout per inning pitched last year. But he's still the favorite to win the NL Cy Young. And but this is, Charlie, how long have we been talking about this? This is.
That's why I said forgive me for being redundant.
Old, real quick.
2.05, and he's 4-6. 4-6.
Give the baseball voters at least that much credit. They did not go by that. The win-loss record does not mean anything with the Cy Young voting.
Hour number 2 at Modesto, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Enjoying the finer things in life is his forte. Let's bring in Scott Rabelais from The Advocate.
And a return here at Modesto. Tacos, tequila, and whiskey. Great place to come before or after or during the LSU games, Super Regional this weekend. Game day specials, no matter whether it's baseball or football game day specials or basketball game day specials. $3 fireball shots, $3 tequila shots, $3 domestic bottles, $4 imports. 32-ounce margaritas. They're also their Frozen Tiger, one of their specialty cocktails on special all days that LSU plays. Game day nachos, the Mexican popcorn, Berea fries, also available here. All your game day specials here at Modesto. A nice, easy little walk across the street to Alec Box Stadium, where Scott Rabelais was this past weekend. Rab, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm still a little sleep deprived, but otherwise okay.
I wasn't hating getting to bed a little bit earlier last night than some of the other days. Scott, it was a tense, 24-hour period from the time LSU lost to the time that they played the next game. What was the atmosphere like? You were in the post-game press conference. I know you talked to players and to Jay Johnson, and then in the lead-up to the game on Monday. I got a lot of, this is the most important game, and they'll never recover from that. I was like, look, it's still a baseball game. Yeah, it would be a monster upset. But what did you feel around the park when you were there?
Well, certainly with tension in the stands and just being there. I mean, everyone was on pins and needles, especially even when LSU took the lead on Fry's home run in the first inning. It was still kind of sad. Well, they took the lead last night. On Saturday night, they'd done the same. Sunday night rather, they'd done the same thing, and then fell way behind. So it was kind of an attitude: no lead is safe. And then Little Rock, as I'm sure you all say on your show, they're making amazing plays. The guys hitting the off-field wall, making catches, they're turning plays in the middle infield. It just looked like major league plays, and it just looked like things were kind of conspiring against LSU, who could it seemed like loading the bases was kryptonite. But after the game, they seemed like still a confident bunch, and Jay Johnson, full of a lot of hyperbole these days. This guy's the best pitcher on the planet tonight, and this guy, I've never had a better this, and this was the best atmosphere. You can tell with Jay, maybe it was a lot of relief talking, but he is just really animated by this time of year. And as he has said earlier, his whole life is oriented around going to Omaha. And that's no hyperbole. That's really true. So you could tell he was in his element, and I think maybe for him, that the win was sweeter for the struggle, which is sometimes the case in that way.
I think all of that is true, and I'll add that he got, be it the situation or moving the lineup around, or however it fell, he got some big time performances. Ethan Fry had a monster performance. They put him up in the 2-hole. Look, he went 4 for 4. That's a monster ask. You move him up in the 2-hole for the first time. I think he had hit in that spot all year, and then he comes up with the bases loaded. The last 3 times they had not scored with the bases loaded, and he rips a double. Stephen Milam, who has struggled offensively in the second half of the season, hits .417 in the regional. Kason Evans, who hadn't pitched in 2 weeks, comes out there and gives you the performance of a lifetime. I mean, he had some guys step up with some tremendous performances, which is what you got to have to win one of these things.
Yeah, everyone in the lineup changed order at least one spot, except for Derek Curiel, who stayed in the on deck in the leadoff spot. So, yeah, it was as he said after the game. It was my favorite quote that he had after the game. He said, you have to risk sometimes to do these things. In these big situations. When do you take a risk? You take a risk when you have a lot to gain. We had a chance to play a super regional at home 2 wins ago, the College World Series. It's time to take a risk, and then you don't just do it. He said, I don't do anything just to do it. It was with a lot of reason behind it, and took a little pressure off Jared Jones to bat later in the lineup, and he had some good swings. He still made had a couple of strikeouts, but he had some good swings, and of course hit the late home run. And Hernandez moving up. I thought moving Braswell, I'm sorry, he's just struggling mightily at the plate. Moving him down to the 9-hole and taking Stanfield out of that second. I know you're sacrificing that second leadoff hitter, theoretically in your lineup, but I thought overall those were good moves. And as you said, they paid off handsomely. They might not have. I mean, just as easily might not have, but they paid off very handsomely. And I love Hernandez. That is one hack-in looking swing, right? He does not look like one of the great LSU power hitters. I'm not reminded of Zeth Zinsman or Tommy Tanks when he goes up there to swing, but or Brandon Larson. But he's kind of got that little choppy swing, but it sure was effective. And what a find for LSU in the bottom third of that lineup to have him down there.
The offense for him, obviously, with the 2 home runs, and he was a good power hitter for Indiana State last year. What has impressed me more about him is how much his defense has improved. Because he did not catch very many games last year. In fact, I don't know if he caught any. And he was primarily a DH, and he played some first base, but he's listed as a catcher because he caught 2 years ago, and he had to acclimate himself. I think the defense has come a long way for him. I think that him telling Case and Evans, go ahead and throw that splitter. Go ahead and throw that breaking ball, and I'll get it. And they weren't getting by him. And my goodness, I thought Chris Curry had a good quote. The Little Rock coach after the game, he said, "Look, it looks like a fastball coming out of Evans's hand, but it breaks so dramatically that you're kind of forced to make up your mind. And when you can have that ball break so dramatically and know that your catcher is going to be back there and is going to handle everything." And so, look, I love the homers. They needed them. But that defense should not be forgotten where it comes to Luis Hernandez.
No, he said, I got you. He said to Evans, I got you. Throw what you want. I'll stop it. And he was terrific because you're trying to get them to chase some pitches. And wow, remember Case and Evans. There's no record line in the LSU record book for most consecutive strikeouts in a game. But I don't recall ever. I'm sure, Charlie, you with your encyclopedic knowledge of LSU baseball, if you can recall seeing 9 straight strikeouts. They said Anthony Renato, Todd Foley, who does a great job with LSU stats and the website and everything, said Anthony Renato once struck out 10 out of 11. But I don't remember ever seeing anyone I've ever seen anywhere, any kind of level of baseball, strike out 9 in a row. And I know, it's a Little Rock. You strike out 9 straight batters. You strike out the order. On any level of baseball, it's pretty impressive, especially with a game like this on the line. But wasn't this just another? LSU just seems to, when they need, and it doesn't happen every single time. Obviously, there's the Stony Brooks and the Coastal Carolinas and the Houstons in the regional final. It seems like so many times LSU needs the clutch, backs to the wall pitching thing. I mean, he's got to keep them in the game, and he did. And as a freshman too, what a tremendous, amazing performance.
So, my encyclopedia brain, along with Todd Politz's research, gives me the answer to this. More Politz's research than mine.
Ben had 7 and 8 at his career.
Ben had 8 against Stephen F. Austin in 1989. Here's what I found interesting about the list. The next guys all did 7 in a row. Ianson and Anderson have both done this. Ianson this year against North Alabama. Anderson last year against Southeastern. Both struck out 7. I was there the night Renato did what you're talking about. He was chasing the strikeouts in a game record that night. He came up just short. And Scotty Schultz had 7 in a row against Mississippi State back in '94, and for a long time, Schultz was the all-time strikeouts leader and wins leader at LSU. Until Poche broke his wins mark. Schultz was fantastic back in the early '90s. So it's a pretty significant record.
Hagen Smith though owns the record.
Hagen Smith in college baseball, 15 up, 15 down, 15
in a row.
Yeah, it's some kind of a ridiculous stat.
9 was damn good, man. 15 is just was it SEC or
no,
region?
it was a non-conference game.
Oh, it's non-conference.
Non-conference game.
Okay.
Scott, how do you feel about the matchup with West Virginia and where LSU is sitting right now?
They come in with a good record, 44-14. They were a team, right? People talked about a lot during the season as maybe being a regional host. Obviously, they wound up with the 2 seed in the Clemson regional. It's it's going to be a test. What do you expect at this time? Not LSU still, despite the struggles with Little Rock, but getting the number 2 seed from the Clemson regional, got about as good a path to Omaha as you could hope for. Obviously, they're not dealing with the Murray State, who can really hit, but obviously they're a lower level team. But it's not Tennessee. It's not quite Tennessee coming in here either, or Coastal Carolina going to Auburn or something like that. It's certainly not UTSA going to UCLA. But I just go back to the fact that you got those 2 Hammer pitchers. Things get a lot more dicey if you got to go to Monday and play Game 3. But the fact that you have Anderson and Ianson in whatever order, and as you guys said, they haven't lost at home this season. LSU hasn't been beaten in a series at home this season. I just have to think that this is time for LSU. I still think it's a team with some holes. The offense can go in the deep freeze at times, and the defense has been really good. I know they had an egregious error during that 5-run inning for Little Rock the other night. That was the only error of the entire 4 games in the regional for LSU, which is really good. It's their first infield error, I think, in a month, Charlie, wasn't it? Something like that. I mean, it's like Texas A&M or something like that since that was first infield error. So that's really good.
The defense has been off the charts. I would say.
So I like their chances. I think they'll win in 2, but if they got to go to 3, it makes it a lot more nervous. Obviously.
Any other thoughts about how the weekend played out? Only 4 SEC teams made it. That's been kind of a headline. You got some non-traditional names in these super regionals like Murray State and Texas San Antonio. So, any other thoughts about the rest of the weekend?
Yeah, I would say I'm glad you brought that up because I would say it's a good point to make. Only 9 of the 16 national seeds advanced. For the top 8 seeds: Arkansas, Auburn, North Carolina, LSU, Oregon State, and then UCLA, Texas, Coastal, and Florida State. But LSU was not the only team that struggled, and obviously we talked about, and I talked about it on our podcast, and you guys have talked about it. I've written about it. It would have been a huge blot on the program if they lost on Monday to Little Rock. But they weren't, like I said, they were far from the only team that struggled. It is tougher. I think we still kind of, and I think a lot of longtime LSU baseball fans still view things through the lens of the 1990s, and it's so much tougher now. There's so many more programs that are taking college baseball more seriously and putting more resources into it. And of course, the NIL and the transfer portal has evened out the playing field even more. So, yeah, I think that. But yeah, the SEC. I am surprised only 4 SEC teams made it through. Now you're guaranteed to get at least one in Omaha, obviously, because it's Arkansas, Tennessee, are going to play each other, and then they could probably LSU could be the team that they play. But I think it's that's a little surprising. I think we all expected 6 or so SEC teams, maybe not a majority, but at least 6 of them to make it through. And Florida kind of flamed out. Alabama flamed out. Georgia did Georgia things, didn't they?
Vandy and Texas were the top 2 seeds. They're supposed to be around this weekend, and they're not. So
6 of the top 12 are gone.
Yeah.
Koki Riley told me, a scout during the season told him Texas would not win the national championship. They after the injuries they had, and they said they and obviously they didn't make it to the super regional. So they were kind of maybe living on borrowed time. Vanderbilt, I thought was, you guys may disagree. I thought they were a weak overall number 1 seed.
I thought there were a lot of teams.
I don't know who would have made it, but
I thought there were a lot of teams that could have been there. The top 8
Arkansas
or so,
North Carolina could have been.
Yeah, I think Vandy got winning that series against Tennessee late, and then the wins in the SEC tournament, I think, put them over the top. But were they overwhelmingly better than some of the other top 8 national seeds? No, I didn't.
Charlie and I, we've been talking about this for about a month. That this is, LSU is they're not quite maybe as dominant. Man, nobody is. There's no elite, there's no cut above everybody, and I think it showed. I mean, Vandy also with those wins got the number 1 RPI, and Skip has told us over and over that committee loves that RPI. So, I mean, that helped as well because their RPI they avoided South Carolina and Missouri, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
They did.
So I mean that helped their RPI.
That did not help LSU's RPI. Yeah.
Right. This was just, and they have been doing odds on these games for a long time, but from an odds perspective, LSU's never been battled by a team. They've played teams where it would have been like a 7.5-point favorite, those 1-6 matchups and some of the 1-4s, okay? But they've never lost to a team with, a 250-plus RPI. No. In a Baton Rouge regional. And then, brought to, where the tying runs are on, tying and go-ahead runs are on in the 8th inning, So, no, it was – and when you're talking about Johnson, Scott, this is his first taste of sort of the Alec Box regional drama. I mean, Alec Box is a great atmosphere, but it's a whole different level when we come to the regionals. And
And
when
he-
we talk
he
about
said
all
that.
of our Alec Box memories, man, we talk about regionals.
He said he thought this was the best that he had seen since he's been here.
Yeah.
No, I don't doubt it. Yeah, it was electric, and even a lot of people showed up Monday night when obviously people are going back to work. It's another late night game. I imagine it's going to be tremendous Saturday and especially Sunday afternoon. It should be because it should be a little later, but it should be really great. I'm sure West Virginia will find it quite interesting. But yeah, to your point, Jimmy, there's not a great dominant team out there this year. That's why LSU is still right with the favorite or co-favorite or one of the top two favorites to win the national championship, despite struggling with Little Rock, is because there's just no one else out there that you go, that's the team. I know Koki, just talking to him, how he's followed basketball all year. He's kind of enamored with North Carolina, how good they are, and they are really good. And the fact that the ACC got more teams through to the Sweet 16 than the SEC did is kind of surprising. But we'll see what happens. I think there's a lot of these teams on this list that are still alive that could win it.
I think
Carolina
the odds
they have a better draw.
That's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
The top three choices to win it all. I think the odds are based on public support. The Arkansas, LSU, and Tennessee. Only one of them can get to the championship series. They all had to battle it just to get there. That's why North Carolina has an easy path, the easiest path of them all. And then the Oregon State, Florida State winner would miss Nap in the second game of they don't have to deal with the Vanderbilt, so they're going to play the Louisville-Miami winner if they get to Omaha, and then they'll play North Carolina if Knapp wins his first game and miss him. So there's multiple easier paths than what LSU, Arkansas, and Tennessee have to face.
Rab, we appreciate it, man. Enjoy the games this weekend. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Unless I'm on a plane, Charlie, but I'll let you know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we'll check your travel schedule. Thanks
Okay.
a lot, Scott. Hagen Smith's game with the 15 strikeouts to open up a non-conference game against Oregon State.
Oh,
So
it's not like a runaway.
It was a February game, but it was against Oregon State. They played that at Globe Life. It was that tournament at Globe Life last year. I had to look up.
It was last year?
It was last year. I'd forgotten.
Wow.
I'd forgotten who.
I love
it was
that team,
against.
man. I can't believe that team didn't get out of Fayetteville.
Neither can they. Neither can they.
Oh, our friends over at Go Chevrolet and also Go Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Blackman. Go Chevrolet in LaPlace. My buddy Lee Carney doing a great job over there. When I was in the market for a new vehicle, I contacted him, and, man, he set me up, and that's why I drive a Go vehicle. I drive a Tahoe from Go Chevrolet. Our trucks like the Colorado, the Silverado, the crossover and SUVs like the Trax, Equinox, Blazer, Traverse, Trailblazer, Traverse Limited to Tahoe, and the ultra-popular Suburban. So our vehicles like the Malibu, Camaro, Corvette, and we have electric cars as well, the Equinox, Blazer, and Silverado. Take the little short trip over to Go Chevrolet. Our service is unbelievable. VIP pricing. If you mention my name, Jimmy Ott, my buddy Lee Carney at Go Chevrolet and GoChevrolet.com.
Live at Modesto. Live at lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
From east, north to south, but we're heading west. It's Wes Reynolds from VSiN.
And a pretty happy Wes Reynolds, I would imagine, with the Indiana Pacers in the NBA
but how
Finals.
unprofessional Reggie Miller to celebrate while he's calling the games. Huh, Wes? I mean, wow.
Look at this Wes.
Wow, huh? Boy, these Knicks fans, huh? And so what do? At the height of their excitement or the relevance of their organization, their team? They fire the coach. They fire their leader. So, what'd you make of that, Wes?
Yeah, look, the story is all about what the Knicks didn't do, I guess, and what the Pacers did do. But, I was a little bit mildly surprised I fired Tom Thibodeau. I thought he kind of did the best with what he got lowering the goal or moving the goalpost here. You don't have a bench, and you're a top-heavy team, and your two best players are your two worst defenders, that being Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. So it's not a shock. I don't think it should be a shock to anybody that the Pacers won this series. They were small underdogs anyway, but they're certainly going to be bigger underdogs starting tomorrow night. But yeah, I thought the Pacers, really have come together as a team, and credit to Rick Carlisle and Kevin Pritchard, Chad Buchanan, the brain trust there in the front office, because they've gotten guys that can contribute. And it's a different guy. Sometimes it's Tyrese, it's Theon, sometimes it's Matherin, sometimes it's Turner. You were getting big contributions from guys that didn't hardly see the floor, like Tony Bradley and Thomas Bryant. So it goes to show you that this team's got something. There's something special about this team in terms of togetherness, but they're certainly going to be big underdogs against the team that won 68 games this year.
You think they can be competitive in this series?
I do. Yeah, I absolutely do, because, it's tough for the Pacers in the fact that they haven't had a team that really defends the team does. But at the same time, the Thunder, this is not an easy offense necessarily to stop with the Pacers and just keeping that pace and getting up and down the floor. And the Thunder, by the way, who are rightful, $7 high, this is not a team that's exactly road warriors in the playoffs. This team, got taken 7 by Denver, and have thrown in some clunkers away from Oklahoma City. So I don't think that this is just lock, stock, and barrel Thunder here. If you say who do you pick to win the series, I pick them. But I'm not going to bet that accordingly. I'd be looking series spread for the Pacers. I think that they compete here.
What were the Pacers underdog the odds in the Knicks series?
I think they were about 130 range, maybe plus 130 around there. 120. They certainly weren't big underdogs.
And what was the Knicks on? What was the Knicks coming back before the Boston series? In that series,
I think starting the series they were probably around like minus 140, minus 150.
Oh, more than that. Oh no, they were way bigger underdogs. Max, you can.
Oh,
look
you're
that
talking the Boston series. Okay,
yes,
I'm talking the start of the Pacers series. Okay.
No, the Knicks. My point is, did Tibbs get fired? Does he get fired if they just lose to Boston? Or because
I don't know.
Because they lost the series they were favored in. Well, I mean, they were much bigger underdogs in the series that they won. I mean,
right.
And let's face it, the Tatum injury happened pretty deep into they're about to go down 3-1, So and did go down 3-1. So most of the damage was done with a healthy Jason Tatum, is my point. So I just don't know what industry, but hey, is the NBA has fired coaches before. The interesting thing is, it wasn't a player. Jalen Brunson's dad's on the staff, and Jalen Brunson, every time they asked him, he got up and left because he got pissed at one of the questions if Tibbs is the right guy. Was that the after the Pacers series that they asked him that?
I think it was probably both during and after. But we'll see who's good. We'll see who's going to take over there. You hear different names. You hear Johnny Bryant. You hear Michael Malone, who was recently fired in Denver. Do any of the college coaches that are always rumored have any interest? I don't know, but I just think I think that the expectation for the Knicks because of that market was just a little bit high here. Even though you have two star players, but like I said, they're your worst defenders, and that got exposed in the Pacers series.
Well, yes, and the thing is, Wes, we have different sportsbook managers on, regularly as well, and the Knicks became very, very public. I mean, they became very public. So that line, the odds that you said that they were favored, as mild as it was probably a little inflated to begin with. And I don't know about you, Charlie, but Wes, I think Indiana's a better team. I think the better team won this particular series.
I do too. They have been, I think, throughout these playoffs, the better team in every series that they have played. I'm still trying to get over the Thibodeau thing, though. You don't go anywhere for 25 years, and he gets you there, and then, you're not the guy to take us over the finish line. I don't know that that's particularly fair. In fact, I don't think it's fair. It goes back. Look, James Dolan has been pretty quiet by his standards of late, but Look, a bad owner will jump in there, Wes, every chance they get to screw things up.
Yeah, no question about it. And that's why the Pacers, I think, are blessed with Herb Simon, because Herb, he's active in that he knows what's going on, but he's always let the Pacers guys, going all the way back to Donnie Wall, who's ever run that front office, let them do what they need to do. And now what they need to do is probably go over that tax, because they've got a chance, regardless of what happens in this series, they've got a couple 3-year window here where they can compete at the top of the Eastern Conference with Tyrese and Pascal, maybe add a piece here. We'll see what Miles Turner's future is going to be. But, yeah, I think the better team actually did win this series, the better organization. And, this is kind of just a general rule, I think, for bettors out there. When in doubt, save the national media, because the national media is often going to get this stuff wrong, and they certainly got it wrong in this Knicks-Pacers series.
All right, golf heading to Canada this week, the RBC Canadian Open. Who are we looking at?
Yeah, TPC Toronto, so it is a new course, a little bit more of a wide-open course, because usually these Canadian courses are kind of tight at Hamilton and a couple of these other places, Glen Abbey, that they've played. So I'm going to start with a local boy. I'm going to start with Sam Burns, 28-1 to win this thing. He's seeing his mate, Scottie Scheffler, obviously set the world on fire. At least we don't have to lose to him this week if we're betting into this tournament, because he's not in the field, but Rory McIlroy certainly is, and this course is tailor-made for him. Big course, we can hit it off the tee, and that's where he gains the most. But I went with Sam Burns, who's also pretty solid off the tee. Maybe not as accurate, but a really good putter, a wide-open course. I think that he could fare well here. So Sam Burns, 28-1, 4 top 20s, by the way, in his last 5 starts. Going with one local guy, and locals don't usually win. We've had, I think, one Canadian player win the Canadian Open since 1954, and that was Nick Taylor 2 years ago. But I kind of like how Taylor Pendrith is playing, and he's around 28-1, was runner-up on this course for a PGA Tour Canada event back in 2019. 5th at the PGA, 12th at the Memorial. He was second in strokes gained ball striking by you-know-who, Scottie Scheffler. So he was very good hitting, just how he hit it last week at the Memorial. I think that can carry over. Shoreborn Olsen, 50-1, 2 top 7s in his last 6 overall starts. He did get a U.S. Open qualifying spot up there in Ontario on Monday. So I think some of those guys that got into the U.S. Open that had to go through that longest day in golf and play 36 on Monday, I think they carry a little bit of momentum here. And Shoreborn Olsen has played some pretty solid golf, 11th tee to green overall on the PGA Tour this year. And then another guy who can kind of hit it big off the tee, Kurt Kitayama, 60-1. He's also really good on approaches from over 200 yards. And you're going to have that, I think, on this course. You've got a lot of long par 4s. I think 4 of them are 500 yards or more. Got a really good record on TPC courses, including a 5th this year at the PGA Cup down at TPC Craig Ranch. So guys that I think played in that event and played very well are going to play well here. Matty Schmid, 80-1, who was the runner-up a couple weeks ago at Colonial, which is kind of a tighter course for such a big hitter that kind of hits it all over the place. But he's got 4 top 10s on the PGA Tour this year, including that runner-up at Colonial. Think he can go well. And then speaking of momentum in terms of guys that played well in the qualifying, how about the guy that was the medalist there in Columbus who beat everybody by 6 shots, and that's Eric Von Royen at 100-1, who was second to Scottie Scheffler, by the way, at TPC Craig Ranch, but I think that's going to have some correlation. So I think that he carries that over. A couple guys that just missed the card, Nicholas Norgard, who's another really big hitter, and Rio Hisatsune has been playing pretty good golf over the spring. I played them on placement markets, though, not on outright.
All right, Wes, we appreciate it as always. Good luck to you Pacers, man. That'd be
you bet.
Looking forward to some good basketball. It doesn't have to be in a big market, man. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you next week.
I'm going back next week, so I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much, guys.
Very good. We're brought to you by Coastal Capital Advisors, your full-service financial advisors. When it comes to retirement, no 2 situations are exactly alike. Let Coastal Capital Advisors tailor-make a plan for you and your family. They work with your business partners and tax professionals, your legal team, to make sure that all of your retirement goals are in place. They'll work for you. They've done a fantastic job for me. Highly recommend them. Phil Fontenot and his staff, 337-981-1376. Online, it's coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors member FINRA SIPC. We'll give you our consensus picks when we come back here live at Modesto, live at lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our Wednesday consensus golf picks are brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown.
Our return here at Modesto. Consensus golf picks. Max?
We do have one this week.
Okay.
And I'm going to start off with a guy you just heard Wes Reynolds mention, the LSU alum, Sam Burns, 28-1 this week. Look, Wes gave you a bit of a breakdown, but I do think it's a long golf course, but driving distance is not paramount to me exclusively. I've heard some people just saying it's just going to be a bomber's course, bomber-friendly, but the rough is up a little bit, and the fairways are wide enough to reward driving accuracy as well. I think Burns does enough, though, here. The one concern with him is he's an RBC spokesman. He's one of their ambassadors, so he has to be here. That's always a bit of a concern with someone like, say, Colin Morikawa at the Zurich every year. He's going to be there regardless, whether he wants to be there or not.
He's obligated to.
He has to be there. But Burns has a great track record here at the RBC Canadian Open. 3 tournaments he's played. He's finished in the top 10 twice. He's coming in great form as well. His approach play is finally starting to come around. We know he's a great putter. He's always a great putter, even on non-Bermuda greens. He's got top 30 finishes in his last 5 starts since the Masters. So he's coming in. He's trending in the right direction. And to me, at 30-1, with his pedigree in this type of field, I think that's a good value play. So,
did you ever say why he didn't play in Dallas? Did he ever give a reason why he didn't play in Dallas?
In Zurich?
No, in Dallas.
I don't remember. The tournament he won there before, Colonial?
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard why.
Never said why.
That was
Okay.
a little puzzling, but this course could absolutely work for him as well. Keith Mitchell, 50-1, is another one of my plays this week. Someone who struggles very much to close, but I'll certainly have him first-round leader if I'm going to have him for the tournament because he loves to get out to great starts. But he has a decent track record here at the Canadian Open as well. Granted, it's a different course than they play basically every year. This is the first time it's been here at TPC Toronto, but he's got top 10 finishes in this event in the last 3 starts, and a lot of the courses tend to play a little familiar in terms of at least the grass types. Bluegrass, rough, bent grass with a mixture of Poana on the fairways and greens. So that similarity, I guess, in the other golf courses has me thinking, well, and going north of the border, it doesn't really seem like it would fit a Georgia guy like Kashmir Keith, but it has worked for him, and he's in pretty good form. Really good ball striker, good on the par 4s, which is a par 70s. There are plenty of par 4s this week. Keith Mitchell, 50-1, another one of my plays. Johnny Kiefer, let me introduce you to a guy. Johnny Kiefer, I'm sure you've never heard of him, Charlie, but
correct.
PGA Tour America's player last year. So this is not even the Korn Ferry Tour. This is a lower level field. He played in the event that was here and finished 3rd. He dominated that tour last year. Got promoted up to the Korn Ferry Tour this year, where he's also had a very good, successful season. He's leading the Korn Ferry Tour in standings. Tremendous ball striker. Makes a ton of birdies. Longer hitter. Young player. Johnny Kiefer, watch out for him. I played him in some placement markets at the PGA. Unfortunately, he missed the cut. But he's also qualified for the U.S. Open, so he's playing in bigger fields. And Data Golf, which ranks golfers throughout all the different tours, has him as the 74th best golfer in the world right now. 24-year-old, I just like where he is, and he's played at this golf course before, so at least look familiar for him. Johnny Kiefer, he'll be listed as John Kiefer, 66-1 this week at the Canadian Open. And then with the field being just kind of Rory and everybody else, I'm going to go with some longer shots this week. Keep the card a little bit smaller in terms of risk this week. Chris Gotterup, 80-1. Longer hitter if it rewards long play, being able to hit the ball long, driving distance, that will certainly reward him. And Wes mentioned golf's longest day earlier this week, which is qualifying for the U.S. Open next week. He was one of the players who made it out of U.S. Open qualifying. He qualified his way into the field, and so that just gives you a good idea of where his game is. 2 rounds where he was under pressure to make the U.S. Open. He got through. 80-1 Chris Gotterup, a former PGA Tour winner last year at 80-1, I think fits this golf course. Gary Woodland, 80-1, another player, longer hitter, good on par 70 golf courses. Hasn't won in a long time. Certainly had the health scare with a brain tumor that he had to have removed. But he's come back and he's had some admirable finishes. He also finished runner-up at the Houston Open, where driving distance was paramount. There were also a lot of birdies, so 19 under. I'd certainly expect a winning score like that this week. So Gary Woodland at 80-1. And Jimmy, we're here at Modesto. You're pretty good at rolling your L's, double L's, right? So let's get to it. Your favorite.
You don't roll double L's. It's just a Y.
Okay. Well,
you roll R's.
It's not always the case. I'll get to that in a second. But your favorite Argentinian, right? Emiliano Grillo.
Emiliano Grillo.
There you go. So 110-1. I played him last week. He's just trending. He's trending in the right way. Or it was a couple of weeks ago, I guess. It was actually at the Charles Schwab at Colonial. But finished tied for 16th. His iron play is coming around. He hits a lot of fairways, so that should certainly suit him. And he's also played pretty well in the Canadian Open. Made 3 cuts in his 3 appearances. So Emiliano Grillo, just someone who's rounding into form. I always want to be early on him because he's a great ball striker. Could absolutely play well. So Emiliano Grillo. But how about this? Another double L that's pronounced differently, according to the PGA Tour pronunciation guide.
Emiliano is 2 L's?
That's 1.
Right,
but
okay.
Grillo is 2, back-to-back.
Yeah, Grillo, right.
Yes.
The double L's are a Y, yes.
Ricky Castillo is how this is apparently announced. Castillo with 2 L's. But
I'm glad you're keeping it short.
Yeah, PGA Tour. Castillo. Ricky Castillo, 125-1. He's got the eggshell necklace, or the seashell.
Pukas, the puka shells.
He still wears those, but he's a great iron player.
Is he 16?
No, he's younger. He's 24, so maybe outdated this style of fashion.
He's outgrown his puka shells,
but still wearing them. And he's a great player, really good iron player. When you look at him, he's a tremendous birdie guy. He makes a ton of birdies as well. Just hits it close, and that could be important with a birdie-like golf course where I think they're going to tear this place up. So Ricky Castillo and Emiliano Grillo, my 2 long shots this week at 110 and 125-1.
Why stop at like 110-1? Give me a Keith Mitchell first round in Grillo, parlay, to win the whole thing.
That would be
no
massive.
Keith Mitchell 45-50-1.
I will bet him first round. If I'm betting him for the tournament, I'm absolutely betting him in the first round. So yes, add that to my card. Keith Mitchell, first round leader. He's been dominant in round 1s all year long. So I'll absolutely play that. But by the way, Grillo was another one of the players who made it through U.S. Open qualifying. He'll be playing next week after qualifying on golf's longest day. So that was a whole lot of fun. We got to watch a little bit of that on TV now. Golf Channel does a good job of covering that. So we saw Max Homa, Ricky Fowler trying to grind their way into the U.S. Open field. Max Homa was carrying his own bag for that event. He didn't have a caddy with him. Unfortunately, they both missed it in a playoff at their respective qualifying sites.
Don't forget our friends that bring you the golf consensus picks each and every week. It's Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown. So everything from traffic tickets to DWI to estate planning to, whatever. A massive, your car gets totaled. Like mine did. He's going to so many things that you have to go through, and Dana's going to set it all up. They handle everything. Communicate with the insurance company the whole time. All the insurance companies, the other attorneys, everything. Set you up with appointments for to go see your doctor and get your therapy and things like that. So he really handles everything because there's a lot of things that you have to go through, and there's a process through this whole thing. And that's where Dana Brown and his attorneys can help you out and show you the way. We don't know exactly what it is, and you're going to be you have to have some representation because you are. They're not, the other side's not in the business of just handing out money. Dana's going to make sure that you get what's rightfully deserved in this whole process. Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime. 343-1111 and ocbrown.com.
Live at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Michael Silver's pretty observant.
He's listening, baby.
Adam Silver, what's it?
Michael Silver,
he's
the writer. Listening.
Adam Silver.
Silver came on, said the All-Star Game will change format to incorporate Team USA versus Team World concept. Says and he referenced the NHL All-Star game.
Yeah. The world's going to be
Or
favored.
it was not the NHL, I mean the for 4 nations.
Yeah.
Okay.
The world will be favored. If they put SGA, Luka, Giannis, Joker, and Victor, they're going to be favored.
How many years has it been since an American player's won the league MVP?
5, I think.
10.
Is it been 10? It's been that long? Yeah. Think about that lineup.
That's why I brought it up.
That lineup I just gave you. SGA was Canadian.
Luke, you have some good American players too. I think it's gonna be fun. I think
it's gonna be a lot of fun. But
let's not forget that 4 nations. I mean, I was at Madison Square Garden at that time, U.S. Canada, and we went out of our way to go watch that game out of Madison Square Garden. I mean, that was a huge event.
I don't think you will certainly move toward. I don't think you will reach that level of intensity on the basketball court. Okay, it's a little different.
A lot of political stuff going on too.
Well, it is going to raise the intensity on me up. He also said it's going to be in the afternoon, so it won't be in the evening. Kind of get lost to me on that Sunday night. That Sunday night was kind of Sunday night can be a good, a good. I mean, football. It's a standalone game. It's a highly viewed, but it's. For years it was on an afternoon, and so he's going to move it back to an afternoon as well. So I applaud it. It's going to be. I think there will be some pride on the lines. We're not going to have cocky intensity, but this is. I think it's a great move. It's a common sense move.
I agree. Rod Walker of NOLA.com sat down with Joe Dumars this morning. Dumars says, I've had really good conversations with Zion. We've spent a lot of time together, had some honest conversations. We're going to go forward with Zion. He's going to continue to be the focal point here as we go forward. Declined to comment on the lawsuit that has been filed against Williamson in California for sexual assault, but which is different from being charged with sexual assault. I think they made that distinction as well. So, if you're looking for a trade with Zion Williamson, drafts in a couple of weeks, not coming, says Joe Dumars. They will stick with him with Zion Williamson. So.
Any of this is a reaction to the lawsuit, though?
I don't think so.
I think this is just.
He said I sent him to the draft for a reason, which was, correct me if I'm wrong, before the lawsuit was filed.
Yes.
And she's having a hard time finding a lawyer, so there's some questions about the validity of the case. Again, it's different than him being charged by the officials. Modesto here. Game day specials for the regional this weekend. Great little easy walk across towards Alec Bucks. Thanks to everybody for participating. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.